for future reference. So welcome to our fourth Vital Signs Wednesdays webinar, all our alliteration. And I wish everybody a happy Earth Day, happy 50th anniversary of Earth Day. Even though we might all be going a little stir crazy, or if that's the worst case scenario, it seems like planet Earth is actually really happy right now. You could see, you could actually see the Himalayas from northern India, which you never do because of so much pollution. You can see downtown Los Angeles today, which again, you generally can't see because of smog. And then you can see the maps of the levels of carbon dioxide in Europe, and before COVID-19 and after. So pretty clear that planet Earth is pretty happy right now, even if the rest of us are struggling. So hopefully everybody gets a chance to experience a happy day today. All right, so today, like I mentioned, it's our fourth Vital Signs Wednesday. Today we're going to be releasing 2 more chapters. We're in like installments. Today is Workforce and Economic Development and Arts and Culture. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Baltimore Neighborhood Indicators Alliance, we are part of the National Neighborhood Indicators Partnership, which is a learning network of more than 30 cities across the nation, to try and figure out ways to get local data into the hands of communities. So we're learning from other cities like Cleveland and Oakland and trying to bring those things back to Baltimore so that we have great access to data. And I'm going to show you a couple of those things that we've been doing based on our learning network as well. We issue every year what's called the Vital Signs Report, which is a compendium of over 100 different indicators across 50 different sources. And it's put onto our website in multiple formats for people of different skill levels with respect to data. And today we are, like I mentioned, going to go over the Workforce and Economic Development chapter and the Arts and Culture chapter. So 2 out of the 8. We've already released the top 4. We've released census demographics, sorry, not housing, child and family health, crime and safety, and sustainability so far. So this is the six chapters that are up online right now. And even though there are only 2 chapters, we have lots of indicators that are associated with those. On the left-hand side, you can see all of the ones that are related to arts and culture. And on the right, you can see the ones that are in our Workforce and Economic Development chapter. So what I'm going to do now is actually go through a demonstration of our website to show you how you can access these indicators and what the data is showing us so far. So I'm going to stop that screen share, and I'm going to start a different screen share, which is Google Chrome. All right, everybody can see Google Chrome. So this is our main website. It's BNIA JFI up here in the URL. And what you see when you first come onto the website is essentially our signature product, which is the Vital Signs Report. There's a drop-down menu here for Vital Signs on different ways that you can access the Vital Signs Report. There's 3 different ways here on the front page. You can access by community, access by topic, which I'm going to go into topic today. Or if you really just want a particular indicator that you know you're interested in, you can go straight to that one indicator. I am going to go by topic area. And what I want to do first is actually go to our open data portal, which shows where we have all of the indicators for you to look at in a storybook format, story map format. So this is our open data portal, which I went to, and we have multiple projects. Vital Signs is actually only one. And if you go into Vital Signs, the Explore feature here, you'll see a couple of things. One is all of the chapters that with indicators, which will show you how to actually access the portal itself. And then here are the chapter narratives. I want to talk first about Workforce and Economic Development and show you what the Vital Signs 18 report is showing us. So this is 2018 data. Obviously, the world has changed just in the last month with respect to a lot of these data, but let's just talk about where we were and what the kind of issues might be today looking back at 2018 data and how that might influence kind of what we're seeing on the ground. So the way it works is that you first get an introduction, and then you have different kinds of topics. So if you're really interested in, how many jobs we've had, one of the interesting things is that we did, as a city, see a little bit of a dip in jobs between 2015 and 2016, probably the result of the uprising at the time. Obviously, we have no idea, what's happened after 2017, and obviously not in the last month in terms of how many jobs we've lost yet. But I was going to show you some other things that we have to try and get at that. And then looking at kind of where we saw kind of increases of employment in general leading up to 2018, we did see increases since 2010, which was kind of the height of the last recession. So things were going in kind of a good direction with respect to employment. You can see where we had low employment, like places down here in Brooklyn, Curtis Bay. If you click on any part of the map, you can see only 58% were employed, whereas the citywide average at the time was 63%. In all of these, you can see trend lines for every single one of the neighborhoods to see that particular indicator over time. And then what's interesting, if you look at some of the other sections of the report, this is regional dynamics. This is how many people in your neighborhood do not work in the city or work outside the city. This is an idea of kind of, even if you live in the city, you're actually going outside the city. And what's interesting here is that we saw a lot of people who were, low levels of employment in Brooklyn, Curtis Bay, but of those that are employed, a pretty large share of them actually work outside, which of course makes sense. This right on the edge of, Anne Arundel County, and so kind of working outside of the city probably makes a lot of sense. But thinking about what that might mean, in terms of a workforce development strategy or addressing unemployment and where people might be getting jobs. What's interesting, I think, about this map is also you can kind of see, in the center of town, most people do work in the city. Majority, it's only 40% work outside, 60% work inside. Then you start to see, fewer people working in the city until you kind of get out to the outskirts where most people, majority of the folks work outside the city. So this is kind of the way to look at some of the findings from the workforce and educational attainment section, where we have issues around access to education, especially attainment amongst folks that are 16 to 64. And if you wanted to go to a different section, like arts and culture, we can look at all of the chapters here on the top. And arts and culture, the reason why we even have an arts and culture section is to really tell a more inclusive and more positive story about all of our neighborhoods. These are things that people do to get to know each other, to actually build community through arts and cultural opportunities in their neighborhoods. We have things like public art, primarily through the 1% for Art law, and where we have a lot of public art in our neighborhoods, including murals. We have how many people are involved in the creative economy, which involves arts, galleries, designers, to see where in the city we have lots of places where we have this kind of creativity in terms of the economy. And then probably our most favorite data set is our library membership. This is a very actionable indicator, especially today, thinking about where people in your neighborhood have access or have a library card, and then where their libraries are located. So this map shows you where lots of people have library membership and then where our library branches are located. What's interesting, though, for those of you that do have a library membership, you can see kind of in this outskirts of town, they don't seem to have a Enoch Pratt free library membership, but they may have chosen to get a Baltimore County library membership because there's a pretty big library here in Woodlawn. So this idea of that, it's just because we see a low level in the city doesn't necessarily mean that they're not kind of accessing libraries in general. They just might be crossing over the border. You only need one library card, either in the city or the county, to kind of access public resources. So that's a really brief overview of the story maps. And you can always go back to the BNIA website by coming in here and going to the BNIA home. And basically all of the data that I just showed you is available on our main website by topic. So if you wanted to just look at the workforce and economic development section by topic, here you see all of the indicators in this area. Things like if I wanted to know how many small businesses there are in the city today, you can click on here and sort accordingly, and then go to the actual indicator itself by clicking here on the top around number of businesses under 50 employees. And here you'll get an indicator page dedicated just to that one indicator. We have one page for every indicator that we have on the website. And from these pages, you can look at the data in multiple ways. You can look at it here in a tabular form, which is basically a table. And you can download everything from Excel, PDF, whatever you need. Then you can look at it in terms of disparities. This is an interesting one because it's a number and not just a rate, but you can see where we have high rates of small businesses in the city. Then you can look at trends and you can look at maps. I'm going to move this. And these maps are generated through our open data portal as a view for interactively looking at kind of the relationship of small businesses. So small business, the reason why I bring this up obviously is that we know small businesses have been hit hard during this COVID pandemic. And if we wanted to try and think of interventions at this point where we might be, trying to target resources. Whoa, that kept going in and out. So I am gonna turn it over to Cheryl to talk more about our open data portal and give you more information. And if Cheryl, if you want to take over, I can drive while you talk.
Okay, that's worked for us in the past. So a few years ago, we put together a open data portal using ArcGIS Online. We recently, for the release of this 2018 data for Vital Signs 18, have completely reconfigured our open data portal. So if you go into the Vital Signs portal itself, you can access all of our community indicators individually with all years available. So Seema, do you mind clicking on the open data portal for us? Get us open in there. So from the open data portal, you have two basic ways of exploring the data. So you can either do a keyword search if you have something in mind already, or you can explore the indicators by their chapter. So how about, Seema, we look for something from workforce or arts and culture. So
how many people, percent of population with less than a high school diploma? How's that?
So this will take you to a page where you can see more information about these indicators. So on this overview tab at the top, we have a map. Again, these are our community statistical areas. This is clickable, so you can see the values for this community as well as the community name. In the upper right-hand corner, there's an option to search for an address if you're not entirely sure where an address might be within a community statistical area. That'll kind of zoom in. So Seema's pulling up 11 Westmont Royal. That is where our offices are located.
That's where we normally are.
Normally. So if you kind of click in that area, you'll find that our offices are in the Midtown community statistical area. So we've kind of got that as a little bit of a reference. But as you scroll down through that data, or excuse me, that overview tab, you get a little bit of information. So at the top is a indicator definition. So this is how we measure this particular indicator as well as its source, and then the years that we have available. And these are the years that you can actually download. In addition, we have a list of attributes. You can kind of see those fields. And then on the right-hand side, we've got two helpful buttons there. So if you just want to go ahead and grab the full indicator, you can hit that download button, and it'll expand and give you a few options. So my background is in GIS, so map making. So I would probably download a shape file or a KML file. If you're not as map savvy, it's okay. I'm not going to hold it against you. You can download the data by selecting spreadsheet, and that'll give you a CSV that you can open up in Excel. There are a couple other options there, so that APIs drop down. So if you're interested in developing some tools of your own, whether it be your own interactive map, we have links there where you can kind of point to this data set. If you're also interested in putting together like a little dashboard or plugins for your website, those service URLs are what'll get you to this data itself that we host. In addition to that overview tab, we've got that data tab. So that'll give you a preview of what is in this particular data that you can download. So you can see in this case, we've got the community statistical area, we've got these years available, and next to all of these names, oh, and I just also want to mention, while we're kind of zoomed in, so I don't know if you can see, it says showing 1 to 10 of 10. So there are currently about 10 CSAs in view. So if you zoom completely back out, so in the upper right-hand corner, if you hit that little zoom out, that little minus button, that'll start adding in all of the 55 of our communities. So I was going to mention the filtered view. So either if you're zoomed in, it'll give you a filtered list of all the features that are selected on that map at the top, or next to each of the fields. So community statistical area, each of these years, there's that little icon that looks like a flashlight pointed upwards, or like a little funnel. If you click on that, it'll give you some options to do some filtering on that field. So you can specify ranges. So if you were just interested in looking at, kind of the highest or potentially the lowest, you can kind of just pop those numbers in there, and it'll automatically update that data table to see that for that particular filter that we put in, we've got about 25 CSAs within that range, and it also updates the map. If you're interested in saving this filtered view, that's also something that you can do. So we've got that download button again. This will give you the option to download that full data set, so that would be all 55 of the communities, or that filtered data set, which would give you the values just for those 25. We also have the same for the APIs, where you can just do a filtered look. So it's pretty helpful if you are, again, a developer, if you're a GIS professional, that we have these tools available so that you can start to build in some of your own visualizations if you're interested in doing that. In addition to these things right there, we've got another tab on there, the API Explorer. So again, lots of developer tools of filtering these data sets, of pointing to them, and being able to use this data and information in your own tools. All of this data does come with a bit of metadata with some contact information. So if you're pointing to it, you can always get a way back to BNIA and to our data. And also, we have the ability, since this is all on ArcGIS Online, that if you create a free account, and you can do so if you're an individual or if you're a nonprofit, create a free account on arcgis.com, and you can also build your own web map. So you can just do some quick searches. You can search for BNIA, and you can pull in these data, you can pull in these resources. And if you do have some desktop GIS software, so for instance ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro, these are also files that you can pull in from the internet to your desktop for mapping or data analysis or whatever. Going forward, we're going to be updating all of these indicators, and so we're going to be trying to keep these links solid for the next few years. So if you want to point to this particular indicator, percent of population with less than a high school diploma or GED, the same link will be valid next year and the year after, and we'll continually add new years to this data set as we move along. So that's kind of a quick view of that open data portal, where you can take a look at these data sets. And so I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but since we have published every single indicator that BNIA has tracked, or even just looked at for 1 year since 2010, we've got nearly, I think, 200, if not more, indicators on this open data portal for folks to look at.
Data everywhere.
Yes. So the idea is that, you know, if you're a map maker, we've got data for you. If you like reading about data, we've got those chapter narratives, and then also the tools and visualizations on our website, so that we try to, you know, hit as many audiences as possible with this data and this information.
I just wanted to kind of close out with a couple of diagnostic things that we're having ready for everybody, you know, given the situation that we're in. Looking at some of our data in relation to kind of what it means with our current situation. So the other thing that I want to point to on our open data portal is a brand new interactive map that Cheryl's put together that basically does two major things. One is daily updates of COVID cases by zip code by the Maryland Department of Health. So you can, for better or worse, keep coming in here every day to see kind of how these things have changed over time. And what it does is help you look at some of the neighborhood disparities from Vital Signs 18 that are being kind of present in where we have cases. So the default view right now is our neighborhoods that have high rates of senior population, and you can kind of unfortunately see that you know, some of these neighborhoods are particularly vulnerable by age, and then by some other factors such as, you know, race, whether or not people are housing unstable or have, you know, high costs for housing that may lead to potential evictions in the future. And things like lack of access to digital resources for people that can't get online at this time, which is a real hindrance towards working potentially from home or learning for our students at home. So this is available for people to kind of take a look at. And I'm going to close us out on our homepage for, you know, other things that you might need at this moment to try and understand kind of what we're all going through. So I am going to stop the recording, but then we're happy to answer any questions.